live from Trinidad and Tobago.
Welcome to Connections 50 Plus Wednesdays live show.
I am Terri-Ann Joseph Brathwaite.
And I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph. Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to Connections 50 Plus Wednesday Live. Welcome to all our Caribbean followers. I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph, one of the co-creators of Connections 50 Plus.
And I am Terri-Ann Joseph Brathwaite. Very great to be here this afternoon. And welcome to the Caribbean, all of our Caribbean friends, up the islands, Belize right down to Guyana.
Right, and you'll see with us this evening, we have a guest, and our guest this evening is Lystra Francis. And Lystra is an administrator, educator, recently left the corporate UWI into her own business. But before we really get into the topic of the day, which is resetting on the third act stage, Terri-Ann and I just want to chat a bit about, what's happening out there right now during this period, as we said, the new normal. And we want to chat about, our mindset, what is really happening, what we are hearing from clients, especially about they being a bit stressed, etc. And, we feel that we on the third act stage should really be just a little more careful in terms of our health, our self-care, and giving support. Right, Terri-Ann?
Definitely. Jen, I wouldn't say a little more careful. I think we are in a phase of life that is, to our generation, we've not had it. And I have this notion that when the psychologists and psychiatrists get together and they do comparative studies of what people are experiencing personally, where stress, anxiety, loss of income, loss of relatives are concerned, I think we are going to be comparable to war times. If not war times, because of physical bombs and so on, we'd probably take it back to the Depression, because there is a lot of tension and uncertainty that is facing everyone. And you hear daily words of the layoffs. I have relatives who live abroad in the Middle East, and he was telling me of the thousands of Trinidadians who have been released, who may have been working in the energy sector abroad. At home, every day you're hearing of companies shutting down, and I think everyone is living with an air of uncertainty around them, where there's no predictability, and there's no beacon. There's no one, whether it is through politics, religion, education, business, that is giving light and direction. So everyone is sort of like, and that is coming on people as serious stress. And one of the things that Jen and I were talking about is looking at our friends, looking at our cohorts, seeing people changing subtly, but if you know them, you know they've changed, and it is as a result of stress, and many have died, So we really have to, not only the natural progression of moving from the second act to the third act, that's normal, and that was the fun part of what we aim to do. But in this era of pandemic, I stopped saying COVID. Pandemic, which is going to continue for a few years. The third act has another level of preparation that we must face and face squarely. You know, they say things don't change unless they are faced, and unless you face something, it will never change. I think that's the situation we're in.
And Terri-Ann, how I see it also, that it cannot be done alone.
Mm-hmm.
We need each other. We need to look at our skills, how we could support. And when I speak of skills here, I'm talking about those who great at listening. So you know, so you give a listening ear to someone, not being judgmental, you know, that sort of support I'm talking about, emotional support. Emotional support. I hear of situations, and it's normally told, the story is told after the fact. You know, you would hear someone say, you know, I didn't realize my friend was in such a terrible situation because she or he did not say anything. It's only after you heard either they were hospitalized or down in bed or in such deep depression. And you felt, well, you know, maybe I could have done something. So I think we should recognize, understand our friends. You know, we do have those who don't talk much, and we have those who talk a lot.
Jennifer, the thing about it is, and I have some friends who might buff me for saying this, and people might buff me for saying this, but I don't believe that all the time the after the fact is a surprise. I think we see it. We see our friends changing, but we live in such an individualistic society that it is so easy. But I know my business. Well, if she want to do that, she business, or if he want to do that, she business. We see it, and sometimes we just don't want to exert any energy, any emotional energy towards helping someone, especially if we don't know the depth of the help that will be required. We prefer to close our eyes, because in the instances that I know that people were surprised by illness or death, everyone in the old talk gave a story of how they knew that it could have been happening.
Yes.
And I think it's that selfishness, which is a part of life in the 21st century, that is really our undoing. You know, so yes, there are some genuine surprises because people don't talk, but we are observant people. I'm not saying we fast. We are observant people, and we do notice change. And I think it is easier to say, well, look, let me mind my business and go on, rather than get involved. And that leaves a lot of people in distress and alone. And that's the saddest thing that can happen to a person who is suffering from low grade.
Yes, because stress and depression seem to be one of the key issues right now with us at this stage. So, Lystra, so let's not leave you out of the conversation.
Not about that connection, so we are about fixing that.
So,
what you're saying is true, huh? What you're saying, that's a fact. So.
Yeah.
I lost yesterday, and
wow.
Yes. Very sad. Very sad.
And being aware of that situation, Lystra, Terri-Ann and I, we decided our programs right now, which should focus on that reset, you know, to help our clients, you know, examine themselves, look at where they are now, because we spoke last week with our guest, Gregory. And in Gregory chatting, he pointed out a lot of situations that happen after you leave that corporate stage. And we had that discussion whether you have to change or not, or you find yourself changing, or you're a new person.
Change or be changed.
Yeah, and that. So you have that added to, I guess, this new normal, the pandemic, the issues that arise as a result of the pandemic. So Lystra, you at this stage, you have left the corporate. Tell us about that change, that movement from your retirement into where you are now. What are you doing at this stage? Now, how did you, sorry, let me go back a bit. What was the planning like moving from that stage into where you are now?
Well, Jen and Terri-Ann, request take it off from Trinidad and Tobago and all the viewers of the islands. I thought about this since 2005.
Okay.
2005. I was in South Africa, and on my way back home, at the end of our posting, I said, when I get back to Trinidad, I am not even going back into the teaching service, right? And when I got back here, I decided to do a landscaping program at UWI.
Okay.
And I did that. And then I went on to open a business, Jenny, as you know.
Yes.
Plants and landscaping. And going to different offices, I got a crew, etc., etc. Because my lecturer then, she encouraged me. Needless I should say, I mean, I took off my hat as the career woman and got into the boots and so on. So I'm planning. If I wanted to give to Trinidad and Tobago this shop where you can just walk into, choose your plant, and I put it in a brown paper bag or whatever. That did not work. Did it stop me? No. What it brought on in 2010, I got a call to UE to assist in the first physical education teacher training program as a coordinator. I said I would go. And I said, well, I love education. And while there, in January 2010, I think it was around there, I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Oh.
That did not stop me either. And remember my words, what I said, diagnosed. I did not have anything. So I was diagnosed. And that did not stop me. I went on. I got down to the St. James Infirmary. I sat down there among everybody. I had nothing. And I was there, I mean, you shed a tear, what have you. And I made friends. Doctors became my friends and so on. And even now when I do my checkup, I go to one particular doctor, we chat. And I said to him, I said, you know, doc, I want to speak with people because that's a death sentence to most people. And to me, it's not.
Yeah.
So people would see me. And I remember one lady in particular, I was walking through Twin City Mall. I had on a white outfit. And I found this person walking behind me. And she said to me, excuse me, ma'am, did anybody tell you you look beautiful today? I said, yes. She said, okay, thank you. And I kept on walking. So even though I was diagnosed with that, going to my treatment, I still found myself, all I'm taking is radiation. I found myself going to uni. I still found myself going there, doing my work and being okay. But my boss then, she said, you don't have to come. I said, listen to me, I am coming. If I don't feel too good, I will not. Okay. So I stayed at UE there for a while and I ended up doing the lecture in health and wellness as a co-curricular course. But I still haven't what I want to do. I do not want to stay on forever. However, I stayed on until 2016, January 2016. I did not retire. I recharged. R-E-T-Y-R-E, right?
That's good. Yes.
Right. So I did that. And I said to myself, okay, I'm gone. I'm leaving there now. Function everything. Then they call me, Lystra, we need some help. And my concern, I think about the young people. I love young people. So I said, okay, let's go back and give to them. So I went on. I stayed on for about 2 years. And then I came here. And I said to myself, you need to open this business. Your family, we are vegetarians, we eat healthy, what have you. And I sat there and I thought about it. I prayed and it came to me, juicing, right? And you all would laugh about this because I got 2 or 3 bottles ready. I love fancy things, you don't travel. So I want this fancy bottle. My husband is saying, but you're not going to make anything. I said, leave me alone. I am going to try this. It did not work, but I sent two ladies at the to taste. And they said, Lystra, this tasted well. I said, are you sure? He said, yes. And there is where I started in June of 2019.
Oh, okay.
And I got up and I started doing the juices, got the bottles, do all my research. And the mixtures I got came to mind. It's nothing that I just went and copied from a book or anything like that. I invested in a commercial juicer. I got my watermelon, my carrots, etc., etc. And I was so bold that I called a friend who has a shop. I said, I want you to get me a chiller. I had a chiller to my house this Saturday, and I started putting the juices. But let me go back a bit. I even went online and studied. So I had my lecturers out there pushing me, right? So they're pushing me and I'm there, okay, I'm going with them. And this is actually something I said I was looking forward to. They still keep me on path what I'm doing. I still, this morning I enrolled in the Association of Juicers. So that's the first part.
That's a great story. In terms of, it's what we hear from many who have decided, listen, I am leaving that behind. As we said before, I'm leaving all that title and everything behind and starting afresh. But although you're not leaving your skills, your knowledge, or anything behind, that stays with you. And that is what has helped you in terms of your planning, putting things in place and building that confidence, knowing that whatever I'm going to do, I will be successful. And what I also heard you say at the beginning is that the landscaping that you tried, although it did not work as planned, you moved ahead. You didn't allow that to deter you and to give up on entrepreneurship. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Terri-Ann, what do you think about that?
I'm always interested in in where the drive for entrepreneurship comes from. So I always go back to see what caused you to choose entrepreneurship after your career. Are there entrepreneurs in your family?
No, Terri-Ann, but back in my first job as a teacher, I taught at different schools in Trinidad and Tobago. I was qualified and a business teacher. I'll be the business teacher. POA, office procedure. So in the we had a model office setting up with students. So I even taught in San Fernando.
Yes.
So I've been all over. So I had my students showing them how to get into business, etc. So I always have that urge, and still they're calling me.
All right, because one of the challenges, and it's real, it is very, very real. And when I work with even people who are not post 50, and especially those who are 50, the business world seems daunting, especially if you're not grown up in it, you're not accustomed with these no fixed hours, and you're accustomed being an employee. And I think one of the things that really causes our 50 plus as they prepare to transition to the third act to be fearful is that they believe that business is this thing that's not for them because they've not been in it. And therefore, I'd like to hear you talk about that, because it's one thing to be bold, because I don't believe that a successful business person is necessarily a risk taker and a brazen, bold, bravidage person. it's a very calculating, methodical planning process. What was it? How would you describe that transitioning from being an employee to you've decided to go into business and you've gone through your challenges, but that thing that, what gave you that confidence? What kept you going to get into business?
Terri, I'm always willing to help others, especially young people, right? When I check back, and you're talking to me there, when I first started to teach at River Senior Com, I met a parent who said to me, in those days was Terri-Ann shoes, the Prince Charles' wife. Remember the shoes came out and everybody said they were Terri-Ann shoes? And he was Terri-Ann shoes. And again, he's talking about a risk taker. I said, okay, I'm interested. And I took about 300 pairs of shoes and I had it in my car. I was selling the shoes.
Okay.
So I'm always ready to move, take a risk, right? And I'm seeing it in my children now. Because what we tend, oh, I will do that. No, I will do it.
I think one of the things that we realize, and I think, and Jen, I think we could look through all of our heritage, all our past. We come from, and when I say we, I mean collectively being Caribbean people. All of us, very few of us were the owner class. Very, very few were the owner class. So most of us, regardless of your race, your heritage, even the Chinese, the Portuguese, everybody had to come and scrunch and hustle and scrape. And our forefathers, if we look at it, everybody had what we today call a side hustle. And everybody did something. And even if it was in a bartering system, not necessarily a set up and get a cash pan, but you had a business and you had a susu and you organized and stuff. And I think one of the things our employment status sometimes gets in our way, that we lose the how much was accomplished by our parents and grandparents from that hustle, from that business, from that barter. And we face the third act depending on a pension and being afraid to let go of the status of a job when, hey, we have it in our DNA going. You know, so it's always fun. Jennifer will know we ask this question, and when people discover, hey, this entrepreneurship blood runs in me,
because at some stage, Terri-Ann, in growing up, the focus shifted from entrepreneurship, because we looked at, now we are looking at it as entrepreneurship and business. But then from the time you say it's a side hustle, somewhere along the line, you didn't see it as an important aspect of bringing in income.
It didn't go with our education, Jennifer.
Yes. Okay. No, yeah. So we lost it, and some of us didn't pass it on. I'm so happy to hear, Lystra, when you said too that your children now involve and understand. And I think this is what we are here doing also, you know, for our 50 plus drivers, you said, to understand that they have a lot of talent and skills that they can develop their business and also bring in the families into it. And especially at these times where we need to look at bringing in an extra income. So,
I think
go ahead, Mr.
People, right? And I can give you an example, and you all will know that when we were growing up, right, and you went to school, you study, etc. The first thing your parents are going to tell you is either you go to be a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, a policeman.
Find a profession. Yeah.
I was a nurse, and they had arranged for me to do nursing. I did not want nursing. Most of my family were teachers. I love teaching. However, I ended up in Ministry of Health, okay? I started working there. Then I said, no, I have to branch off into something else. So I met a friend and he said, why don't you look at HR and Flip Deco? I went to Flip Deco. My father thought I was mad. You are leaving a government job to go to work in Flip Deco?
It's a very safe government job.
Yeah, because you remember you have security, yeah? You remember you have security. And I said, no, I'm gone. I'm doing that. While in Flip Deco, and I'm interviewing young people coming into the workplace, I realized my calling for teaching is there. Because what I saw coming in, I could not put that in the office, right? And I just left the deco like that. They cut nearly half of my salary. Went to teaching service, did the interview, and they asked me, you sure you want to come into teaching? I said, yes. So to me, it's all about the individual. And once you have something planned and you know what you want to do, that's it. And for my 50 and over, I feel younger doing this now.
You're energized.
Okay.
I think one of the things also that makes the transition easy, and I suppose it's the thing that, and I don't know if you'd be willing to talk about this, it's you obviously understand what your passion is, and as you've zigzagged or meandered through different careers and different stages, you knew in your heart that's imparting to others, doing good, sharing, helping to develop, always been there. Was it difficult? Well, you would have identified it, but did others around you support it? Or did you have your naysayers and you had your resistors?
Yes, Terri-Ann, you know for sure you're going to have the naysayers. I'll do the thing. When I was doing the landscaping, of course, Jennifer, what I was to say.
CPAP. You leave your big to be a CPAP.
I saw the guest wife cutting, fixing people yard. And I looked at her and I said, okay. And I continued, right? Because that is me. I want to do that. And the same thing with the juices. The juices, I'm trying to tell you how to be healthy. And you're saying, but I didn't realize a juice lady dressing like this. I am not taking you on, right? What we have lost in Trinidad and Tobago is that touch for meeting people and sharing, right? Yes. Put a bottle somewhere and somebody grab the bottle of juice and we go with it. I don't want to call the names of the places. Just grab and go. My children grew up where the milkman will come to the house and we'll have a conversation. And the same thing I'm doing now. We have to get back to those days. So I can say what Terri-Ann and Jennifer, I am going my way.
Yeah, but Lystra, Terri-Ann said it, and that is coming out a lot in you. And, following your passion, you're really passionate about something and love it. When you're doing that, you're not going to be bothered by what others are saying. What is driving you is that inner passion, and that you have to continue. But something else added to that inner passion is being able, and we always speak about that, Terri-Ann and I, being humble. Humility to me goes with that, because you can be very passionate and going out there, but depending on what is being said, if it hits, as they say, it hits a weak area in you. So if you already had certain hang-ups, and that could weaken the passion. And so I would say, in addition to being passionate, and you went ahead and developed your skills, I think the fact that you like people, you like working with people, you hear it right through, you like working with young people, you like that conversation, you like you know, being among others, that also is help. I came from sales, and I remembered very early when I just started, my manager told me, if you have to be a successful person, you better like people. If you don't like people, you would not be successful out there in sales. I always remember that stayed with me, because you have to be, you have to be authentic, you know, when you go out there. So that is, you know, hearing you chat, those are the qualities that come out. The fact that you like people, you're passionate, you're a very humble person, so you're not looking to get the kudos or the pat on your back to say that, hey, you know, you're doing great. You are out there and doing what you have to do. You know, so for me, that is the makings of a successful entrepreneur. You know, so
you might even get it pointed. Why is the juice so cheap? You're doing charity. That is what you do. That's fine. I know down the road where I am heading, right? I am happy to see, you know, I have clients out there who have taken juices too, and they appreciate it. They say, you know, that is helping me. And, you know, so I go on at this time, over 50, you know, the G that you all have, I'm ready to go. It's another step in my life. And other people need to teach that. So the thing is, I don't care if I went to the Prime Minister's residence, whoever, it's me. That's it.
And I think one of the things that that really that I see, which I think is the seed, and which links back to how Jen and I how we actually do help our people, and why we looked at you and we thought that you were such a perfect example of a successful, although you are in your transition because your business is relatively new. It started in June last year. All right. It is, you came with that confidence. I am me and I am going to be me. But most of us don't start there. And I think it is when we see people like that, they will look and say, oh, well, look at her. She know business. She could do business. She has the confidence, and she has contact, and she has this, and she has and a whole wall of reasons why not. And you know why I went to asking whether there was a line of entrepreneurship in your family, and bringing that back to us to let us all know that it is in us. Once we identify the thing that we like, even if we don't know how to put one foot in front of the other and continue in that momentum, there is room to get help and support to do it. You were fortunate in that you had your own combustion engine, and you had a supporting ecosystem around you with your family and stuff like that. But and if you don't have that, you have people like us who can help you in the process. But tell me a bit about your juices, Joyful Juices. You are still in the stage of production at home, are you?
Yes, I am. And I think by the end of the year, God bless, I might be outside in the back of my yard with something planned. You know, because just before I came here, one of my friends from the international school just ordered a 6-pack.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. So 6 different juices. And, you know, we have, you know, like a carrot pack.
Yes.
We have a pack.
Yeah. Nice.
3-year-old guy for his birthday. But I started small. I have lots of clients. Sometimes Terri-Ann and Jenny, I have to say to people, I have none right now.
Mm-hmm.
I would give you, right? But people are hearing about me. Again, thanks to the young people, right? Mm-hmm. When I first started, I would go with 1, 2, 3 juices. I put it on, it's on Instagram, but I have a group that I send out on WhatsApp. So my barber said to me, Mom, this 1 and 2 not making sense. Price Mart is doing 12 as a case. Why don't you do 12? I came home, I sat down, I thought, I said, good, went with it. And they're buying it in a case, 12 in a case. So I have different flavors, right? It's a one-man show. And then sometimes the kids, they come in, even down to my husband, sticking labels and who doing what. It's a production line. We got to do it, right? Because he's at that age too. So, you know, you got to come in there and do it. So at the end, you hear, okay, but I'll drop for this one, I'll drop for that one. And then my delivery day is Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
See me get into my car, man. Terri-Ann, if you see a girl, get in there and I go and I deliver.
Yeah.
Morning, and I hand you juice. In COVID, in pandemic time, what I do my invoice electronically. I send it to you. So when I reach to your home, I give you a bag and you hand me your envelope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Young people get to drive us too. We don't know what they talk about. No, they are there to drive us.
Yeah.
And if they're not driving us, we drive ourselves. And
Yes.
that's the thing, because it's very possible. And what you're really highlighting and showing is that now, what would your life have been if you didn't get up onto this project? What would you have been doing?
You really want to know?
I
Before
think
this,
it's been something, but
this came on mind. You know, I did a business plan to put in a pool, water aerobics, because I love to exercise. I'm into that.
Fix.
Yes. So my husband, what you show it? Yeah. But it's somebody into security said to me, no, you can't do that. Don't do that now because of what is happening. But God works in mysterious ways. Because if I had done that, right now I'd have a pool there. You understand? So this is a good way to go.
The point that is being so well done is well outlined here, Jen, and it's something that we've been hearing, is that life is a continuum. And after the corporate life, there is so much of life.
There's so much you can do.
You know, around 80, 85, you could think about retiring. But what are you going to do from that 50, 55, 60 up to that time? When you have all these skills, and you know, you're such a great example of that. You know, thinking proactively and getting out there and doing it, because there's so much that you have to offer.
Because Terri, right now I'm studying to be a health and wellness coach. And I'll tell you, I'm retired at 80.
I was just actually, Lystra, I was just about to ask you what plans you have in moving forward with the business, you know, let's say within the next few years or so.
Well, I've been asked that question many times, right? I still think I want it to be where it is right now at home.
Yeah.
I think also what I think Terri-Ann would love this. What I also see ahead is a bed and breakfast in my area where I am becoming the sign. You know,
Yes.
parties and whatnot, and you know, and right now you have staycations. You understand? So you
Yes.
have to look at all these things. Children are going. You're there. You got to do what you have to do. When we reach 60, you're old, auntie. I'm not old. I go in. I still gymming out. No.
It's your mindset. It is so important with your mindset and building that energy level, knowing that, listen, I would continue doing the things I like or things I love.
Yes.
And you know what is great too, Lystra, and you just mentioned it, you're not going to be dependent on the children. You know, they have their life to live. You release them and you are in charge of you. Of course, your husband there with you.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're taking charge and responsibility of your life, your happiness, your future. And that is what is expected on this to that stage.
And I think we have to tell a lot of our people in Trinidad and Tobago, and even in the Caribbean, when you reach 50, no, life now starts. You're not ready to go. You know, do something, whatever how small it is, you know. But I think people get to the point, oh, I can't do this. I am not into that. I remember being outside in Brussels, and when I was there, I saw an old woman. Age, but I said old woman, she could be in her 60s.
She's talking about our age.
Yeah, Terri-Ann and Jenny. Well, yes, going to the post box to clear the box of the mail, right? These are things we have to do, and you don't have to show our young people and show other people that we can live. I mean, if something happens, that's fine, but we have to fight it and move on.
Mm-hmm. I don't think we have to show the young people anything. We have to show ourselves. I think the young people understand where their life is at and they're going along with it. And if our cohort doesn't get our act together, our parents will fall off, the young people will continue, and we'll stand up like a me one. And what I also like about how you approach things is that, and it is something that people have to appreciate. Whatever you decide to do in your third act stage must fit you. So you have decided that your business is going to stay in your house. It's going to stay in the kitchen. You are doing deliveries for yourself door to door, so it's a batch process. And if your capacity is 20 cases, well, it's 20 cases. How many 20 cases done? You'll get it next week. And that's fine, because that gives you contentment, it gives you happiness, and it doesn't frustrate you. And a lot of people are timid about going off on a plan because they buy into all this old talk you hear in corporate buzz, like gross, so do this, do that, do the other. And they don't understand, listen, this plan is about me. It's about how big or small, automated, handmade, intimate, not intimate as I want it. And I'm sure the weekend you decide you're going on another trip when the borders open.
I feel so good going to the market.
Yeah.
I was telling to McCoy market. And you meet Singh, and you meet this one, and you meet that one. Oh, and once, but I didn't see you last week. I said, well, I had enough watermelons, right? Singh said, well, take 6 more. And you go on and you meet another person, the cucumbers, and the guy pushing it to, oh, I say, yes, put it there. I said, but remember, I paid you this last week, I cannot pay. And while inside there, Terri-Ann, you hear somebody say, Miss, you taught me at school.
Yes.
So the thing is that you have to forget and let yourself down, be yourself. That is the problem, be yourself, and you'll get to where you want.
A big problem is that you make that sound very easy. But as we said last week, the biggest challenge for a lot of people is, who is that? Who you talking about? Because I am what I used to do professionally. And that's when Jen and I do the reset. We start with a psychometric assessment, because a lot of people, and Jen, you remember, a lot of our clients, the first thing they said is that assessment helped me to understand myself.
Yeah, to face reality, to understand this is the reality of the situation.
Not only the situation, understand who I am.
Yeah, well, you start with that.
Be tuned to who I am and what I like to do. And I think, Lystra, that's what I love about listening to you, in that everything is tailored to you.
Yeah.
But do you know I go and deliver juices in UV? I deliver juices to my colleagues in UV. I don't go to them.
Yes.
But the thing about it is for your health, right? Mm-hmm. Even my principal, he was very supportive.
Yes.
That I was using is very supportive, because it's something that you have to think about. Everybody busy, right? Who's there? I have a juice, Terri-Ann and Jenny, cool Karaili. You know how nice Karaili tastes, right?
Well, Lystra, I have to, girl, if you get me to drink that, you're good. Because I always hear how, Karaili does so much for you, the elements of Karaili that can help you health-wise. I grew up with my mom and they cooking Karaili, but somehow I found Karaili was such a bitter, nothing they did to Karaili could help me, encourage me to eat it. So yes, I would try the Karaili juice.
Yeah, so the Karaili, now I sat down and I thought about it. So I have to do it very palatable for people. And that day I just put it out, cool Karaili. But I did a test there. Mind you, when I'm doing my test, I run a test on, say, have a taste and etc.
Yes.
And once you say it's okay, and And one of my girlfriends, she's diabetic. She said, this thing tastes good. Another guy said, this thing tastes good. I said, okay, I'll try it. When I put out the ad for CONEC-TIONS, the phone was only going ping, 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 ping. I could not believe. So I made CONEC-TIONS and I took to the people and whatnot. And what drove me more is that when my friend said, she said, I went to my dietitian and my doctor. I showed them the drink, they look at the ingredients, and they said, continue taking one a day. Your numbers are going down. That made me feel good. Yes. I have another client, an old guy, 80-something years old, and he has problems with the body. There's a green Terri-Ann jelly that I do too. I give them the green, call it Green Goodness. But I will have to change that name because I did not know there's a juice by the name of Green Goodness in the States. So I have to be careful.
Okay, so we have to do some more research.
Change that name. But everything in that is green. Okay? And they look forward to Lystra bringing a juice. Pineapple and mint. What made me laugh when I took it to one of my people? She said, girl, that is my Friday evening drink. Pineapple and mint with Prosecco. And she had me roll.
Terri-Ann, I think you could try that. Terri-Ann, that mixture sounded like a Terri-Ann mixture.
Pineapple and mint is a beautiful combination. Yes, it is. If you make pineapple chow and you put some mint leaves in it, it just pops.
Right.
In a beverage, natural.
That is one of the drinks that go quickly, but I must say it. The process, it takes long because of the amount of pineapple you have to peel. And I do it. I did it one night, 90 pounds, easy as ever.
Because you love what you do, huh?
Exactly.
Lystra, on your process, how do you manage consistency? How do you manage a batch consistency? How do you make sure that each...
I have my recipes.
Mm-hmm. And have you gotten external help for those, or is it all in-house?
All in-house. Lystra, all in-house.
Okay.
So I would tell you, but don't tell him, I tell you. We do sorrel and cane juice, right? And a lot of people love the sorrel and cane juice. Mm. But Mr. Francis makes the sorrel and cane juice. I put that on to him. So he did twice, and I realized it's well done. I said, you do that.
So you do have support.
And then the girls will come, and they will be testing and saying,
which is good to keep,
right.
Because it is important.
The whole family thing, once you know the taste, you say, well, this tastes good, mommy. But they're not tasting O'Reilly, Not tasting O'Reilly. And that's how I do it. Yeah. But the labeling, the bottling, we put in the chiller, we put in the freezer. Everybody with me, man.
Because Lystra, the other thing I found with persons who have retired and onto the third act stage, and they may be bored and frustrated, and when you say, well, okay, why not look at doing something, to keep you occupied and bring in some money, and they would say, well, money is not their issue. They're not interested in making money, and they don't seem to be motivated to really do anything. What would you say to someone like that who home bored, want to do something, not motivated with money, but looking at others, like looking at yourself, looking at people who are active outside there?
Okay, you have the homework club where you go and teach your children. I'm also the head of the hospitality ministry at my church. Okay. Mm-hmm. You can go in the libraries and work. You can go to the schools and you can do different things. Right? So I don't see when you say you're bored. Look at plants, some plant. I think COVID made a lot of people do their garden, their kitchen garden.
Yes, it did.
So there are things you can do. Okay? If money is not a driver, do something. I mean, there's something, look around the house. Change around. I love to change around house. Change around. Do something. But no matter what they say, they need the money to bring in the paint or whatever. So
I sometimes wonder when people say about, oh, it's not about the money, I don't really need money. I wonder about that, and wonder if it's not just the fear of doing something as against not needing money.
I think it's the fear. I think it's pride.
Yes.
If I out there, they're going to say, hey, but she, let's take her. It's the pride. It's pride. That is the problem. Because they can even find themselves, if you go down to St. James Infirmary, there are women there every morning doing breakfast, etc., and serving people there. But it's the pride. That is one of the things we have, pride.
I tend to agree with you on that one. Mm-hmm.
And the pride is what is going to really stifle. And very often you lose some critical years, because one of the things we look at is, and this is why we say 50 to 80, the 5.8G, because yes, your legal retirement is 60, but you don't start thinking about your third act stage at 60. But when you're 50, you see those 5 to 10 years before you're due to leave, for some reason, people believe they're not leaving.
Yes.
They're not going to go. They're going to get an extension. Something will happen. Something, or they're going to get this big lump sum. And Jen will tell you stories about asking people 5 years into retirement and 3 years to retirement, do you know what your benefits are going to be? Have no clue. And when they find out,
they have no clue, but they have big plans to go tour the world. So these are the plans, great plans, without knowing what the money will be like.
And people, because I suppose we've all been there in that period when you are at your peak, and as Maslow said, you're self-actualizing, you miss this and miss that, and people are in the room waiting to see you, and you are at whether it's in church or in the neighborhood, but you can't start thinking about not having all of these office props. And as Greg Wire said last time, once that retirement date comes, the 30th of September, whatever year, on the 1st of October, you are Mr. Miss Citizen ordinary. And if you have not taken the time when you, in your last 10 years or 5 years or even last 3 years of employment, to begin to think and put a foundation down, you will end up in a real funny place, thinking you could easily step back into the corporate world, but someone has already taken your place.
Yes, you still want to hear that knock on the door.
Yeah. Yes, it's true. Agreed.
You want to hear that knock on the door?
It is the cause of a lot of pain for people. Jen and I were talking about this low-grade depression today before we started the show officially.
Yes.
And a lot of people who would have been, even this issue of working from home, where they're no longer in the office and they are detached. So they can't control the narrative and the gossip and they can't control what's going on. And they are feeling that my power base has gone. They feel as though
totally out of sorts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the hint that says, listen, get back to you. Who are you? What are you about? The job belongs to the company. It doesn't belong to you. Find what you're about.
People going to do art. Art is something that I love. That is something some people can go and do. Get your artistic skills. There's so much open campus has. You can go there and learn something. Braiding and do something.
See, listen, you don't understand what status is, huh? Obviously.
She got true status.
You don't
I was right in it.
Understand what this position means.
I think that may be the difference,
With it. You don't understand that.
I have been the wife of a diplomat, and to me, we have been all over, and I am not going to make that go to my head.
You see, you strange. No, but
in Brussels, my Barbados counterpart, she said to me, I had this this car, a Suzuki. So I said, Carl, no Benz, nothing like that. So I had a car, the back open, a Suzuki. The canvas you will put open. It have the diplomatic plates on it, yeah? And the children in the back there, and we going. But you like old cars? I say, I think it's right. All right. But you see, this is what we hook on to these things.
Yes.
And we should not.
No, we can't say that, because that is the reality that is leading to the situation that we have. And when I always say, if we declare that should not be, but it is, the issue is, how do we now help people to unfold and face the reality? Because it is a scary reality. If you have been defined as the X of Y in this company, or you've been defined as mother, you know,
Yes.
what frightening things is to realize your children don't need you in the way that you made yourself dependent on your children and fool yourself to believing they need you, whereas it was you needing them. These transitions are frightening for people. And I think one of the things that we're really trying to do with the reset is say to people, we know it's scary, but it can be managed, because at the end of the day, transition, you must. You must leave the corporate world. You must leave the children. You have to get to that stage where you're on your own with life in front of you, life meaning years and energy. And what are you going to do? It's exciting, you know, but it's really to recognize people are proud and they're scared, but it's okay. We help you fix it.
Because even if we go back to the students leaving for college, I remember while in Washington, D.C., I met a colleague of mine from Washington State University, and she wrote a book, Letting Go.
Yes.
Right? And most of my parents, I bought copies, and then I recommended that book, because it comes like, just like us, right? Letting go, moving from that office, we have to let go. So maybe a few of us can come together at some point in time and put something and guiding people. How do you move away from that office?
It's called the 5.8G Reset Program.
I'm about to tell Lystra. What we have learned, what we have learned at Connections, you see, just the reading, not going to work. People actually need us to be, they need a hand to hold, you know, to say, well, here now, this is it. We have, you know, I have seen the difference with the group sessions and the individual sessions. With the group sessions, yes, people sharing, and yes, but some of them really, you know, they inner issues, the real deep issues, they're not letting that out at all in a group situation. They're smiling and they're saying yes and everything. They could read a lot of literature, yes, but unless you are there with them, you know, in that sort of relationship where you build that trust for them to open up, to me, that's the only way to really break that for them to release and let go. Because I have found that, I mean, I'm saying I with Terri-Ann and I, because what is great is that we work together. And people always point out that when we have the you know, the feedback, because Terri-Ann and I, we know that, are two different personalities. But let me tell you, together is what people need. Terri-Ann a little more realistic and out, you know, more outright in telling you as it is, which is great. And I may tone it a bit. But with the combination, it is so powerful. Because at the beginning, when we do that assessment, and it's two assessments that we do. So the beginning, you do that life transition type assessment with your mind and that aspect of it. And when they understand themselves, and Terri-Ann comes in, you to really look at your skills. You know, because there's so many skills. We have dealt with those who came in and with Terri-Ann and they say, well, it's okay, we don't need to make any money. We okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's all right. I just doing this little thing and but in the chatting and the discussion and it come out, they say they're not really all right, They would love to use their skills to earn some income. They would love to help people and do these things. So it is needed. Our cohort, it is not that easy for us to change that mindset because they have been set in their ways for years on that second stage.
I am not being a good moderator today at all. Because we have the stories, and I would love to point out how Jennifer got a lady in her style that I couldn't do to go out and buy a new pair of sneakers after 10 years.
Listen to me.
But Jennifer, we have to give Lystra 2 minutes at least to talk about Joyful Juices, and we are 1 minute away from an hour.
we need to wrap up. So yes, Lystra. In this in 2 minutes. This is a quick ad.
We'll take over 5 minutes after. So Lystra, give us what is Joyful Juices? Give us a story.
All right, Joyful Juices. When I thought about it, I said, what name am I going to give this business? And I called the girls, I looked at Frenchie, and then one of them said, joyful, you're always laughing, Joyful Juices. So that is how it came about. Now we have a 250 ml. Before we had a 5, and then you were hearing, it's too expensive. And I ignored it. And I said, it's 250, just good. You can go in your pocketbook, you can go in your lunch bag, whatever.
Yes.
Right. So we have the 250 ml. And hello, I made friends with the people at the bottling place too. They ordered lots of bottles to me. They told me that. So we have a 250 ml, and it goes at a reasonable price. And you can do gifts. You can go to our Instagram page, joyful.juices, and you can order, and we deliver to you.
Very
right?
Very
and we do some writing up on the different drinks. The number is always on Instagram also.
Okay.
Your daughter put the juices nice, some of the label forward for you. Put the juice back, the label back. So just put the girl label properly. You just rest it up.
I like the size too. And you sell it, you can get the case, Lystra, in that box that you showed us. So you can get, how many would be in the box that you showed earlier?
So 6-pack.
6, so you could get a 6-pack. Okay.
Right. But the 12, and then for Christmas, last Christmas we did sorrel, we did pineapple, so in big bottles like wine bottles.
Oh, okay. So you did it right. Okay.
And we did some people who want to give the gifts to them too. Yes.
So if like I would like to order those big bottles that you had for Christmas, someone can place an order for it.
Yes, and we will let you know that this is what we are having, and you will order it.
Okay.
So Lystra, this was a wonderful reset journey, and I just hope that many people, notwithstanding the fact that yes, you are predisposed to being upfront, and they may say, well, oh gosh, her husband is a diplomat, it's easy for her to do whatever it is. It still is within you. It is within you. All people need is a drive, and we understand that people sometimes need support because they may not have the enabling environment of support of children, support of husband, and so on. But that is what we are here, and this is why we would bring people like you on the show, so that people can really, really say, and even if you don't know what you want to do, our assistants, Jennifer, help you to give that direction, because this thing called low-grade depression in this pandemic season is going to make things really, really tough. So, Jen, we look forward to helping us.
Thank you again. I look forward to my Corelli juice. I really want to try that. I feel it's gonna make a difference to me. So get my order ready for the Corelli. Thanks again, Lystra, for being here, and for, I know, our followers, our listeners, you know, you have helped, I'm sure, many of them who listening in to say, well, okay, let me move forward, let me take action. And as Terri-Ann said, we are there, we are here to help them to take that action.
Yeah, we have to help them.
So you have a great evening. All the best, all success with you as you move forward, you know, in the business.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure.
Great.
Okay, bye.
So,
Just say bye for now.
see you guys next week.
Okay.